Back when Part 4 aired in 2016, I wasn't in the best of places. And maybe that's why I ended up not liking Part 4 that much. Depression does that to a person, general apathy to everything, but hey, everything is a lot better now. So I was looking forward to rewatching Part 4, thinking I would enjoy it a lot more this time around. I had a fun time, I really did. However, I think I just don't like Part 4 all that much. Hey, wait! No, don't leave! I'm not done yet! Come back here! Where in previous parts of Jojo we travelled across England, went from North America to South Europe, and most of Asia to Egypt, Part 4 only takes place in one location, the town of Morioh, 10 years after the plot of Stardust Crusaders took place in 1999. In this town, Josuke Higashikata lives, the illegitimate son of Joseph Joestar.
Oh my god!
Yes, his son. Despite having been an old man at the time, Joseph still had it in him, and the girls were still head over heels for him. So this happened. Now, Josuke, just like Jojo, might look like a delinquent, but he has a heart of gold, and he loves his mother and his grandfather dearly. And he doesn't even want to kill any of his enemies, as he just doesn't want anyone to die. However, he's not above some get-rich-quick schemes to make money fast, as is made apparent later during the season. And he gets put into action because of a stand-powered killer murdering his soon-to-retire police officer grandfather out of revenge, swearing he will protect the town in his stead. His stand is Crazy Diamond, and it can heal, or rather, restore things to a previous state with like time reversal, which is probably why it bears similarity to Dio's The World and how it looks. However, he cannot bring back the dead or heal himself. Oh, and don't insult the hair, he won't like it if you do. On his way to school he bumps into Jojo, and also his new to-be friend Koichi. Now, at first you might expect Koichi to be the speedwagon of this part because of this introduction, however, a series of events later, he ends up at his own stand. And he gets some decent character development, and some badass scenes and even a romance sub-story, turning him into a well-written and quite likable character. And after a few episodes, we get introduced to our last main character, Okuyasu. Now, I might have called Polnareff an idiot in my previous video, but I think I have to apologize to him. Polnareff might be an idiot, but Okuyasu is even worse. He is a good guy, don't get me wrong, but he gets one of the most powerful stands, the hand, which can erase everything, but he makes very poor use of it. If he just doesn't forget to use it altogether, there are a few points where enemies run away, yet Okuyasu refuses to use his stand powers to effectively teleport them back to him, resulting in much more problems after the fact. Now, people not using their powers or just being outright dumb is going to be a recurring problem in this part, by the way. And with that, all the main characters for Part 4 have been introduced. Okay, excuse me, I guess Rowan is considered the main character as well. Well, about 12 episodes in, we get introduced to our final main character, Kishibe Rowan. Why he is named after a kingdom from Middle-earth, I cannot tell you. However, I can tell you that he is a very eccentric manga artist. Rowan, no, put that spider down, don't lick it. As I said, he's quite eccentric, and very curious. Maybe a little bit too curious, as it can make him quite obsessive in trying to find out what makes people tick. All for a better manga result, he says. However, it could endanger the people he takes interest in. His stand is Heaven's Door, and it gives him the power to read people's life story, and add in some details like making them unable to do anything aggressive towards him. However, probably thanks to his quirkiness, he ended up becoming my favorite character of this cast. Oh, and the various outfits he wears makes Araki's passion for fashion quite obvious. This man has drip for days. Though, it kinda makes him look like a fuckboy who likes to dress up. Alright, that about sums up the main characters, for now, as Part 4 is a pretty big cast of returning side characters, which I'll mention when needed. As for the plot of Part 4, the first third revolves around a magical arrow that can grant people stans when shot by it. A relic that Anyabay used to create all the stand uses from Part 3, and Jojo wants to retrieve it before it can cause further problems. Okuyasu's brother, Keiichi Nijimura, is in possession of the arrow, and he's been going around creating stand uses. He hopes to find a user that can kill his father, someone of Dio's underlings, after he turned into a monster thanks to Dio's flashbird going berserk after he got killed in Egypt. However, he gets killed by Akame Otoshi, who steals the bow and arrow for himself, for... Did this ever get explained why he wanted it? He just kinda holds onto it and wants Jojo to leave town. He wants to be a rock star, but you don't need to stand bow for that, do you now? Regardless, he gets his ass beat and gets sent to jail, and this is when one of my personal issues with this part starts. After After this point, it's just cleanup duty of all the stands he created, and nothing more. Even before he got arrested, we already were dealing with some random troublemakers that he gave stand powers. Yukiko don't have a problem with, as she plays part in Kochi's character development as a romantic partner. Also, I'm not sure if Araki invented the yandere trope with her, but as far as I know, she might be one of the earlier characters displaying the personality traits for it, at least in the manga that is. But then you have the episode with Tomomi, who is an absolute scumbag and I just want to strangle his character. It Hazamada is a little bastard as well, and he's the third stand user that has shapeshifting powers. Tonio the Italian is fine I guess, though he never really shows up or contributes to the story anymore after his introduction. And try as I might, I cannot even find him in the ending credits, the one that shows all the other characters of this part. Makes me wonder if he left for Italy or something. However, at some point Akira shot 2 rats with a bow. Why? Because he was bored? Because the bow demanded rat murder? I do not know. However, this results in an episode where Josuke and Jojo have to hunt down 2 rats who gain stand abilities. Which in turn gets me to Jotaro. It is nice that he is returning, but I am disappointed in him. There are so many moments, like this rat episode, where it seems he has just been drinking dumb bitch juice for these last 10 years. Somehow, he is incapable of using his time stop for more than 1 second, far less than he could during the final battle with Dio. I guess anger is a motivator for that, but also practice makes perfect, so why does he never use it? For example, in order to catch the rats, he puts himself in harm's way and gets shot by them. Or in later episodes, while he could have stopped time and prevented Kira from running away in a clothing store, he does nothing but wait and he gets blown up. The worst one might be in the finale, where Josuke screams out while Jotaro and the others are waiting around the corner of the street, and he says there's nothing to worry about. My man, you are tracking a murderer, and your friend is screaming. What? It's not like you are waiting for him to arrive or something. Moments like this just get to me, and they bother me to no end, and they also happen quite often. But okay, I get that time stopping is a very broken power, and that Araki probably did this to make him less overpowered, so that there could be some conflict in his part. But it definitely gets annoying fast and makes him look very dumb, and in some cases, a member of the new cast might have worked better to fix the conflict at hand. Well then, since I just mentioned him, I guess it's time to talk about Kira. No, not you, the other psychopath called Kira.
私の名はキラヨシカゲ。年齢33歳。
Over halfway into the story, we finally get introduced to the main antagonist. After cleaning up the mess Kira made, and some scenes that hint that something more is happening in Morioh than we can see on first sight, Kira is here to remind us that people die in Jojo. Kira shows up, kills Shikachi, a minor character introduced 2 episodes earlier, which makes it feel that this was his only reason to exist, and from that point, the chase is on to catch him. And it would have been caught pretty fast, if it wasn't for him forcing Aya, the stand user, to give him some other man's face. And he goes into hiding in the family of the man's face he took. From this point on, we go back to the weekly villains, and we get family drama with the Kiras. More weekly villains? Wasn't that done? Now, you see, in his old house, while the gang searches for clues as to who Kira is and where he went, they find another bow and arrow. And his ghost father, trapped in a Polaroid picture, flies away with it to create more chaos. Wait, what do you mean, Mina? A bow and arrow? Didn't that issue get resolved 12 episodes ago? Well, yes it did, but you see, there is another bow and arrow, and Kira just happens to have it. Trust me, it's not like another arrow will show up somewhere, right? No, of course not, that would be ridiculous. And at the finale, Kira ends up getting a new power when being stabbed by the arrow. Surely that will also never be important again. Nah, can't imagine, that also would be ridiculous. Anyway, now his father is creating more jobbers to get into the group's way, and Kira tries to blend in with the unsuspecting family, which he both succeeds and fails at. The wife, Shinobu, notices that her husband has changed, but for the better, as she completely falls in love with him, Kira. Hayato the son, however, suspects something is off, which eventually results in Kira's demise. The story past with Kira is definitely what makes part 4 good, which is funny because it makes 2 psychopath murderers named Kira that are well written and enjoyable on screen, which is a weird coincidence. As for the past I don't have him, more of a mixed bag in my eyes. The low points of part 4 are really low I feel. Episodes like Tamami and that goddamn rock paper scissors kid just make me want to strangle the chapters for how annoying they are. Alright, we also get introduced to Mikitaka, and I'm still not sure if he's a Chunin stand user or actually an alien, and it never gets revealed. However, I did enjoy Highway Star, though I'm not sure what to think of the pose he makes. And the July 15th episodes are well done, though Cheap Trick is very annoying. And I kinda wonder about the time of Superfly's creation. Well, it is obvious that Kira's father was behind it. In the first episode, a faulty electricity tower gets mentioned, but I guess that's another tower then instead of some foreshadowing. Oh, And unlike part 3, there was a lot less dog murder too, not counting the ghost, he's already dead for a while. But then you have that one in episode 2 where his face got bitten off. Jeez, Araki, what the hell? A lot of the stands in this part definitely feel more thought out and have more interesting abilities than those in part 3. Pretty much all the stands now have moved to music references as a name, which works fine for most of them. But Red Hot Chili Peppers always gets a laugh out of me with how blatant it is. And Enigma is funny to me, just because of the fact that part 5 actually uses a song of them as one of the ending songs, which, kind of a shame, wasn't for this part in retrospect. Also, this all makes me wonder, do some of the music artists that gets referenced in Jojo exist in the Jojo world? Akira says he wants to be the next Jimi Hendrix, so he exists, but how is this for other famous bands? Either they do not exist, or outsiders who stand bells are just going to see weird people shout famous band names for no apparent reason.
Oh my god, Josuke-kun!
Right, before I forget, my boy Joseph also shows up, although he is very old now, reminding me that time is a cruel mistress once more. However, he mostly gets regulated to being a babysitter, taking care of a baby that has a stent that turns himself invisible. The interactions between him and Josuke are heartwarming, as Josuke's initial behavior comes off as cold, but he grows more close to him later in the season. However, I cannot help but feel a lot of these episodes, and manga chapters too, could have been removed as they don't contribute much to the plot. I know Araki tried a different direction with part 4, and while it's not bad, it's not my favorite. While the pace of part 3 sometimes went nowhere, there was still an adventure, and in part 4 it turns out that nowhere is Morioh Town. If I wanted to watch or read a slice of life story, I'd be watching Yuri Yuri instead. Or anything else that takes that box for that matter. While part 4 is definitely bizarre, maybe even more so than the previous parts, I'm here for the adventure part of the title. The bigger story arcs of the part are definitely good. I just feels it's not going anywhere with the in-between episodes taking the wind out of its sails. And just like part 3, I find part 4 more enjoyable on rewatching, at least because of the aspect that I can now binge it instead of having to wait every week for an episode. Now, that does not mean I hate part 4, just to clarify, because I know how people are on the internet. I still like part 4, but it is nowhere near my favorite. And while I remember I said the same about Stardust Crusaders, in retrospect, part 4 is making me appreciate part 3 a lot more in hindsight. While I cannot say much about the art style, because it's the same as the previous parts, I feel they used the color palette swapping a whole lot less in this part. Or maybe this part 3 used it too much, who knows. However, I do wonder why the sky in Morioh is always pissed yellow. I thought part 3 was the most yellow-brown parts of Jojo, seeing most of it was in the desert after all, but I guess I was wrong. When it comes to the music, I guess I feel a little let down. Now Kira's theme, it's absolutely amazing, and at this point it's even iconic. Some songs are good and stand out, but most of them are rather forgettable. But then there are quite some tracks that end up being reused from part 3. While that makes sense for Jotaro's theme, I question the inclusion of the other ones. And personally, this might be my least favorite ending song so far in the franchise. The song doesn't really do it for me, and I also feel the song kicks in way too late and ends right at the peak of it, which feels kinda off. And the openings are also a mixed bag. I absolutely love the second opening, Chase, though it seems that the internet at large hates the song for some reason, because it's not Jojo enough they say, whatever that might mean. However, I really like the song, so whatever. Great Days is really catchy and it is also good, however I cannot find myself to care too much about the first opening song, Bizarre Crazy Town. I like the EDM arrange much more at least, but even then I don't get why they just remix it for 4 episodes, and then it switches back to the normal one. As to where I would put this on the tier list, as you guessed it, under part 3 but above part 1. It is not my favorite part, but it is still quite enjoyable. However, like I said, this is retroactively making me like part 3 more in hindsight, making me wonder if I should put that one higher or not. But I will refrain from doing that for now, until after I've seen part 5 and got my thoughts on that. I remember really liking part 5 the first time I saw it, finding it the best part after part 2. But why did I? And will it hold true now that I've rewatched Jojo over the rest of the year? Well, it's time to find it out in the next video in this series, where I will look back at part 5, before I finally get to part 6, maybe even before the year is over, so stay tuned for that. I know that this video is a little different compared to the other ones I made, where I went over the events in order how they happened in the story, but seeing the story sticks to the same location in this part, I figured to try a different approach. What will I do for the part 5 video? Time will tell. However, this marks the end of this video, and thank you for watching if you made it here. My name is Soma, and I hope to see you next time.